Hi there, it's Sandra, and you are listening to the podcast A Duchess Like Us. Hello, and welcome to episode 23 of A Duchess Like Us, a podcast that reports positively and fairly on Meghan, the Duchess of Sussex. Today, I'm joined by Nelly and Gayle, my co-hosts for this episode of the podcast. So, ladies, would you like to introduce yourselves?
I'm Nelly, your foul-mouthed sister from over Hadrian's Wall, and today, this morning or this afternoon, or I have no idea what time of day it is. It's been that kind of night with a toddler. I'm drinking water, standard.
I love that. I'm drinking water.
Fair enough.
Yeah, exactly. How do you beat that for an introduction? I'm drinking water. Love it. Oh dear. So, hello everyone. I'm Gayle Edwards, and I'm on Twitter as Breakthrough Diva, staunch supporter of Meghan and Harry and all things Sussex. And today I'm going to be giving you some pretty controversial views because I don't always agree with the main narratives. So yeah, let's go for it. Let's do it.
Good, yeah, because I certainly don't. I've always been a rebel and I'm proud of it. So anyway, so again, hello everybody. I think that we have been absolutely spoiled this week by the appearances of Meghan and Harry while they've been visiting New York again. This is the second time in 2 months that we've seen them in New York, and by God, did they look good. Mm-hmm. So on Tuesday, the 9th of November 2021, we were graced with a 30-minute interview with Meghan and Melody Hobson on DealBook, which was a fantastic interview. They discussed a wide variety of topics, and both ladies gave some really insightful answers to the points that were raised by the interviewer. And I've forgotten his name. Never mind, it'll come to me. Anyway, he wasn't important. Well, he was actually, because he actually did a good interview.
Anyway, and I think his name is Andrew Sorkin.
I was going to say it's Sorkin, wasn't it? It was Andrew Sorkin.
Yeah. That's it. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. He was really good. But anyway, we'll talk about him later. And then on Wednesday evening, which was the 10th of November, the Sussexes attended the Intrepid Museum's 2021 Salute to Freedom Gala, where Harry looked gorgeous. Sorry, I just chucked that in. And presented the inaugural Intrepid Valor Awards to 5 service members, veterans, and military families living with the invisible wounds of war. So today in this episode of the podcast, we're going to discuss these events in more detail. So let's start with the DealBook interview with Meghan and Melody Hobson. Yeah. So good.
It was brilliant. Amazing.
So on Tuesday, the 9th of November, as I said earlier, DealBook released an interview with Meghan and Melody Hobson, the president and co-CEO of Ariel Investments and the chair of Starbucks. Ariel Investments is the first Black investment company that manages billions of dollars worth of investments in the US and around the world. The main aim of the interview was to discuss how women can achieve economic parity. Now, during the discussion, they discussed the following topics: paid family leave, the fact that the US is only one of 6 countries in the world that does not have paid family leave. Now, in the UK, we have, as a right, maternity leave. Women can take up to a year of maternity leave. It's not all paid, but the majority of it is. And we have a statutory maternity pay that's given to us by the government. And then most companies have some sort of paid maternity leave. And so you can be off for up to a year if you choose to. Men are also entitled to have 2 weeks paid paternity leave from work. It doesn't matter what job you do or how you do it, you are entitled to your 2 weeks paternity leave. And so there are changes afoot in the UK where men and women can actually can share the maternity leave if they want to. So they can have the mother can stay off for 6 months and then the father can take over the other 6 months if they choose to. but it depends on the company you work for. But we do have pretty advanced maternity and family leave. Then they moved on to the importance of financial literacy, especially for women and minorities, which I think was brilliant. And they brought up the topic of ambition and why, if you're a woman and you're ambitious, it's bad, it's horrible. You're seen as, aggressive. But if it's ambitious in a man, everything's hunky-dory, everything's okay. It's fabulous. You should be seen as ambitious, which is really just ridiculous, the whole concept of it. She moved on to social media, or they moved on to social media, and they discussed how social media has now become a toxic and hateful environment and the awful effect that this has on women in particular. Then they talked about financial parity for women, which I think I can't believe in this day and age that men earn more money than women for the same job simply because they're men. It's just ridiculous. 21st century and we're still doing this. That's crazy.
Yep.
Then they moved on to a very interesting topic where the guy, the interviewer, I've forgotten his name. I'm sorry, it's Saturday morning.
Andrew Sorkin.
Thank you. He asked both ladies, Meghan and Melody, what it was like to be the boss of their own companies and how being a boss has changed them. And the comments made by Melody and Meghan really struck a chord because they had to change. But if it was a man, would they have to change? It's rhetorical. You don't have to answer. And then he asked Meghan how she was feeling now that she's back in the US. Nice question. Love that. And then finally, it was a throwaway. I think it was not a throwaway question. I wish they could have discussed this earlier. They talked about the Daily Mail appeal. And I love Meghan's concise and frank answer. I won the case. When I filed the case, I had no children. And now we're going into an appeal and I have 2 children. I won the case and I will always stand up for what is right. What more can you say? So, ladies, what do you think of the interview and how do you think it went?
Oh, my goodness. Number one, it was amazing, truly amazing. But what I really liked about this interview and why it resonated with me so much is parity is something that I deal with and talk about a lot in my work, in my professional life. And to hear heavyweights, let's give them their flowers. Meghan and Melody are heavyweights. And to hear them discuss, to hear them having such open and frank discussion around the whole parity concept and the inequalities that still exist. And you're right, Sandra, how are we in 2021 still discussing about, men and women not getting paid equally for the same jobs? I can remember having those discussions at school when we were, in economics lessons at school. And here we are, 2021, however many years later. I'm talking about when I was at school. I turned 56 on Wednesday. So that was a long time ago. Right?
Yeah,
and we're
40 years ago.
Yeah, exactly. And we're still having the discussions. So to have, to listen in and to hear, Melody and Meghan's perspectives on this and the work that they are doing. And I love the fact that Melody is Meghan's mentor as well. Thank you. That in itself was a really powerful statement, because mentoring, and this is something we've touched on before with Meghan's birthday, mentoring is so important. And it's even more important when you put it into the parity space, because women are feeling undervalued. Okay, they are feeling marginalized, and having a mentor who has walked the path before you is extremely important. So that whole interview for me was beyond powerful on so many levels. So I loved it. But one other thing, which I know we're going to discuss in more detail around the Daily Mail case, is I don't know about anybody else, But Meghan had a level of confidence. Let me tell you, right? She was glowing. She had a level of real confidence about her. And when he asked her that question and she answered, she could as well have said, "I like business with the foolishness. I've won and that's it."
Yeah.
That's what she could as well have said.
Yeah, and yeah, no, I agree with everything that you said, Gail. Meghan looked amazing. She sounded amazing. Well, she's always been a brilliant speaker in any case, and always came across well in situations like that. She was, always, very, a very comfortable speaker, very confident in what she was saying. I love the fact that Melody Hobson is her mentor. The reason I knew who Melody Hobson was because she's actually married to George Lucas, the Star Wars producer. So that's how I first came across her. Because I'm a bit of a geek, a film geek like that. But also to read up on how much of a girl boss she is, I find it so admirable and awesome. But yeah, I just thought that the panel interview was fantastic, and such very interesting topics that they've discussed. I still can't believe that it's the 21st century, it's 2021 in America. The so-called, and I know I know that I'm going to sound like I'm insulting my US squaddies, but how can you call yourself an industrialized country when you don't even have government? You don't have paid maternity leave. I find that so backwards.
But also remember, they are the leaders of the free world. America
that's what they say
as the leaders. Is that that's their marketing statement. That's their positioning statement, that they are the leaders of the free world. Yet here we are, one of six countries, and America is one of them that doesn't have paid parental leave. 2021, really? How is that?
But can you imagine? I can't imagine this. Somebody having a baby and 6 weeks later, they have to go back to work. 6 weeks,
No, Sandra, in a lot of cases, especially in lower paid jobs, it's 2 weeks. It's 2 weeks.
But it's just hard to imagine. You could die. You like people.
Look,
if you die within 6 weeks of birth, it's classed as dying in childbirth. How can you send somebody to work? How can you go to,
2 weeks after I had my daughter, I could barely sit on the toilet, much less go and do a day's work.
Exactly.
It's just unbelievable, and I don't think people in the UK realise how lucky we are.
We got it good.
Women in the UK, if they choose to, they can take up to a year off. I know a lot of women take between 6 and 9 months off. But we have statutory maternity pay for 39 weeks, I think it is.
That's right.
From the government. Yeah. And then if you work for a fairly decent company, you will get paid maternity leave and you come back to your job. You can come back to your job.
There's
no quibbling about, you've been off for maternity leave, your job's gone. That's your right.
And when you think about it, this is not even new in the UK. My daughter's 19 and I had a year off, 19.
Yeah.
This is not new. This is not new stuff. This is, and what really gets me about the whole paid maternity leave thing, again, going back to Meghan, is that yes, she's campaigning. She doesn't need paid maternity leave. Meghan is a woman that can sit down in her house all day long, 24/7, if she chooses to. Okay, thank goodness that she doesn't choose to. She's advocating for those same people who are trolling against her and telling her she's getting involved in things that shouldn't be, telling her that she's uppity, calling her this, that, the other. They are the people who are going to benefit from her doing her work. Beggars belief.
It is, but people, as I've discovered this week, people will vote against their own wishes. I don't understand. Yeah, their own issue. I don't understand that. But I learned that
understand
today.
It, sweetheart.
I learned that today, this week. I saw it in action and I couldn't believe what I was seeing. Do you know when you're like, what's wrong with you? It's a personal situation.
Look, we are in Brexit right now because of that very same thing, right?
Yeah.
The UK has got, you know, I mean, they want to play down this empty food shelves business, but if you think there are so many things that are just normal that in a lot of supermarkets are short of. Yesterday, I went to get a tin of chickpeas, for crying out loud, but went into my local Aldi, no chickpeas. So I asked them, what's happened to the chickpeas? Oh, we've got supply issues. Can't get them over from Europe. Yeah. Chickpeas, you know, and that you can talk about water in the same vein, many fruits and vegetables. And that's what's happening here in the UK. You know, our petrol prices are just beyond ridiculous at the moment, you know.
Our energy prices have gone through the roof.
Thank you. You know, you've got empty fish markets because they can't fish. You know, it's just ridiculous.
That serves them right, though. Sorry, I've got to say this. Serves them right.
Now, if ever there was an example of people voting against their interests, it's the fishermen. Right?
Yeah.
It's the fishermen. I mean,
I have no sympathy there.
How ridiculous was that? You know, I've got no problem with politicians spouting whatever it is they want to spout, but do your research, do your due diligence. You know, before you go and put your tick in that ballot box, do your due diligence.
Well, they won't, because they'll all go and get second jobs, innit?
Well, let's lead them to it, innit? Because they put the cross in the wrong box. But I would have thought, as businessmen, they would have seen how their business was going to go downhill when they left the EU. I mean, I'm not a fisherman, but I could work that out.
Exactly.
Bloody hell.
Who couldn't work that one out? And now, you know, again, in our newspapers, we've got this whole faux outrage and narrative against the French. The French are in Europe. They are in Europe.
And the French could blockade us just like that. If they close their borders, we're screwed. There's no ifs and buts about it. We're an island. We're a plague island.
100 Years' War 2.0.
These fools can't realise that.
They can't. But, you know, going back to the whole DealBook summit, which, again, as we've said, was really, really powerful. There was the whole thing about being a boss as well.
Yes.
That whole discussion and about, you know, men being applauded for their ambition and women kind of being seen as aggressive or over assertive and all kinds of nonsense. And again, we've seen this play out in the whole Associated Newspapers court case. We've got people still going on about Meghan being a bully. Now, for those of you that are listening, even those of you that hate listening, because I know we get our hate listeners as well.
Yeah. Thanks for the engagement. Thanks for the engagement.
Exactly. Right. All I'm going to say is look beyond the headline, look beyond Jason Noff's extracts, his very carefully chosen and selected extracts that he wanted to portray Meghan as some kind of bullying boss and a liar, and look at the context. Look at let me tell you, I pray every day that woman is a smart cookie, because she knew they had put that auto delete software on her devices. I mean, who the hell does that? Anyway,
exactly.
especially being a comms professional myself and if you're working with a high profile family like the royal family and you've got auto delete on devices, hell no, that opens you up, that exposes you to so much. You just wouldn't do that. I'm not saying they don't delete, because you can go through and manually delete, but to have auto delete on a member of the royal family's devices, that was very clearly setting her up from day one. They didn't want her to have a paper trail. They didn't want her to be able to refer back to anything that would expose them. But thank goodness that woman has got smart. So now let me tell you, Meghan is smart, but Doria is smarter, because Doria brought up her girl. Right? She brought up her girl with that kind of fortitude, not to accept everything at face value. Question. And even when you've questioned more than you think you need to, keep your proof, keep your receipts. And I'm so glad that she instilled that in her, because otherwise, imagine all of that coming out now and Meghan not being able to show, here you go.
Yeah.
Here's the context.
But as black women or black people, I think we've all been brought up with that.
Yeah, because we know.
We know this, the consequences of not having your evidence, because people are quick to stab you in the back and say you did this, that, and the other. And it comes from our own people as well do that to us too. So we've learned to be very careful and cautious about everything we do. We are methodical.
We are methodical, and it goes back to the most simplest of things. Nowadays we've all got, self-checkout in many of the supermarkets and whatnot, and they ask you that question: would you like your receipt? Hell yes.
Yes, exactly.
Hell yes. Can you imagine you press no and then you walking out and we are too much of exactly we are too much of a target. Okay, we are too much of a target in the mainstream not to cross our T's and dot our I's. And that's something I tell my daughter all the time. Don't you ever press that no button. If they ask you your receipt, you always get your receipt. Yes, please. Even if when you walk out the shop, you throw it in the bin, but you get that damn receipt.
Exactly. I've seen too many kids being stopped at the door. Let's see your receipt, please. Nah, man, no, I'm not having that. So, but anyway, going back to what I thought was interesting, and I know, Gayle, that you work for yourself, being the boss of your own company. Has it changed you?
Oh gosh, yeah.
As the leader of your organization, how and a female leader of your own black and a female leader of your own organization. Has your personality changed, or have you changed the way you approach people when you are with your clients or getting new clients or, working with your team?
Yeah, it has. When I first started, so bearing in mind, this is my 21st year working for myself. So it's been quite a long time. So when I first started work, I started in the go get 'em, hustle, Maggie Thatcher days of the 80s, where it was all about, being successful, all about the money. So, and that, that affected me quite a bit. And I did adopt a persona within the workplace at that time, which when I first started my business, I also had, which was very much, shoulder pads and heels and nothing can touch me. It was very much like that. And I almost felt that I had to be very assertive, which some people would interpret as arrogant or aggressive at that time. But what's happened over time, and I think this comes with experience and wisdom, is that that's not sustainable. And if that's not who you are, it's not sustainable, because you start to become conflicted. You start to become, really questioning about who you are as a person and what is it you want to impart with people. So what I've found, certainly over the last 10 years at least, possibly even more, is that I've just been myself. No ego, no mask, no nothing. Because one big lesson I've learned, and this is something I impart on all my clients, is that you can't be anybody else but yourself. You really can't. And you can try, but it's not sustainable. So that has been the biggest change for me, just relaxing into being me. And I found that has been probably one of my most successful tactics in my business, because people relate to people. Not everyone is going to like you. There are some people who are going to say, oh, who the hell does she think she is? But there are some people who are just going to love you. And they're the people you want to focus on and work with. And they're the people that you collaborate and build opportunities with. And that, like I said, that's been the most successful thing. And I think that's why Meghan and Harry are also so successful and impactful, because they are just being themselves. They show up the same way they showed up before they were married to each other. But now together, they're a really powerful, powerful force. And that is that is their best personal brand that they have. They don't, and that's why the rest of them can't touch them, because they're trying to manufacture. I still laugh now. Anyone that follows me on Twitter knows I very rarely talk about the others, right? But it does make me laugh when I see those pictures from that thing they did on whatever it was a few weeks ago, the thing that nobody remembers. Right? When I saw the behind the scenes, when I saw the behind the scenes photos, I literally howled. I howled with laughter, and it reminded me of when of back in the day when you people first started buying fake like Louis Vuitton and Gucci, Hoochie instead of Gucci.
The first thing that came to my mind was the Jamaican, the Jamaican word, follow fashion monkey.
Exactly. It's like, what? It really, because you can't manufacture. Look, you cannot manufacture authenticity. Authenticity, you either got it, or you haven't. Yeah. Okay, you can't manufacture that stuff. And to see them trying, it's ridiculous. It really is. It's laughable. And to be on,
and we do
exactly, and to be on the world stage with people laughing at you, the human side of me feels a little bit sorry for them, but then the other side of me thinks, you know what, karma, it's karma. It's karma. So people do change, but I think eventually you come back to yourself. That's the winning tactic. You come back to yourself.
Oh, excellent. Thank you for that. I think that's really good advice. Yeah. So shall we just talk about for a few minutes the Daily Mail appeal? I don't know why they're appealing, but anyway.
Well, of course we know why. It's clickbait. Have you seen the engagement on those articles, the number of comments? But what's sad about that isn't so much the engagement. I mean, the Daily Mail's the Daily Mail, isn't it? They do what they do. A hit dog will holler. Simple as that. But what's really sad is the people, the readers,
sheeple.
As I said before, it was my birthday this week, and one of my friends, who obviously knows me very well, bless her, sent me, she got one of these Moonpig cards that had a beautiful portrait, one of Harry and Meghan's engagement photos, actually, and it said, "Oh, happy birthday, Gayle." And I had my family come round this week for my birthday, and regular listeners of this podcast will know that my family are not supporters of Harry and Meghan in the same way that I am. And one of them actually saw the card, and she said, "Oh, what have you got that for?" And she picked it up because she genuinely thought it was from Harry and Meghan. So she picked it up. Yes, she did. She picked it up ready to criticize, why are they sending you a card, blah, blah, rubbish. And then she said, "Oh, I don't know why. I don't know why you're so supportive of them. She's done this, she's done that, she's upset the Queen, and she was disrespectful to the." And literally, it was one Daily Mail headline after another that was being quoted at me, and I just looked and I just thought, poor love.
Yeah,
I couldn't even argue against it. I just thought, poor love, because that's exactly what it is, isn't it? These people are indoctrinated by this constant drip of these headlines, none of which, very few of them, contain any truth, as we are now seeing with the court case. As the court case has gone on, and more was revealed, we can see that the Queen and Meghan were literally in cahoots over the tiara.
My gosh, that was, listen.
They were. What was Tiara Gate like for that poor woman? It was constant, and now we find out that her and the Queen were in cahoots.
Yeah, I'm just like, I have no word. There are no words to describe how I feel about this appeal. Daily Mail, you lost. A&L, you lost. Fuck off and leave them alone. But you can't do that because she brings so much. Because your negative brings the views. And I get what you're saying, Gayle, with regards to family members, and like I've had to not confront, but I have to lay the facts out in plain English, i.e. you're stupid for believing this, and you call yourself a university graduate, to people in my life, because they believe everything that is coming out. And the reason why they believe that everything is because these are people that say they don't read the Daily Mail. However, these lies are repeated on fucking BBC, Jeremy Vine, Talk Radio, just this morning. All of that, everything is talking about this case and amplifying the lie that she lied. You know, I'm like, how can you say that Meghan is a liar, but not Jason Nauf? You know, the man who literally has not, who literally didn't say jack shit until this appeal. And yeah,
no, you're right. You're right. How, you know, one of our favourite royal reporters, and because we are on air, let's give him his proper name, but we know what we really call him, Mr. Ship, Chris Ship. Right.
I've got a bone to pick with it, but you go ahead.
Right. Yeah. So he tweeted only this morning, saying, you know, Jason Nauf regrets, you know, not disclosing, not making full disclosure in his witness statement. He regrets, but yet still, Meghan, who didn't include information that only came to light after she filed the initial case, is being seen and is being depicted as a perjurer, a liar. But yet still, it's regrettable for Jason Nauf. Now, this I can't get my head around. Mm-hmm. Jason Nauf is an employee.
The help.
Right.
Right. Help.
He's the help of the royal. He's an employee. Okay. It
was an employee. So it was.
Right. Okay. Was. So his job was to support, guide, especially Meghan, Harry and Meghan. He was their comms person, their PR person. Mm-hmm. That's his job. But now here he is, literally as a defense for the associated newspapers against his employer, who has proven and shown that all she did was to trust her employee. That's her biggest crime. She trusted her employee. And now her employee, who was standing up there kicking, because that's what he was doing, right, with the other two, I can't bring myself to name them. I'm sorry if anyone wants to.
We know who you're talking about. We know,
right. Kicking with the other two just the other day at the COP26 in Glasgow. That literally a week before he's due to give evidence in this court case against his employer, who is also the same as the people he's kicking with, he's there. How does that make sense? And how any logical, reasonable person can see that, know that, and try and turn it into something else? I don't know. I just don't know.
Because we all know it's part of that coordinated smear campaign. This is just my opinion. It's not, it's my opinion. I can say what I like. But we know that the royal family shot themselves in the foot when they basically allegedly pushed out Meghan and Harry. They lost their superstars. Yeah, because the other two can't hold a candle to these two. And they've proved it this week. The whole world was into what Meghan and Harry were saying, what they were doing, the various interviews they took part in. And really, what were the other ones doing? I don't know, because no one was talking about it.
It's funny you say that. My mum came round on Thursday and my mum said, "Oh, she was somewhere." And I went, "Was she?" I did.
I love that, yeah.
I didn't know. I hadn't heard about it. No one was talking about it. So, was
she? and that is the truth. They are charismaless and
anti-charisma.
Yeah, and they don't realize that. Well, they know they've made a big mistake. They know that they've got the charmless too. They know that no one really pays attention to them. I mean, they're going to go on a tour to the US. Why? Because no one gives a fuck, right? Everyone is interested.
I can't wait for them to go.
Yeah, right. It's like, because we're going to see it, aren't we? But it's just like, these two Meghan and Harry put a toe out the door, and everybody's there. What are you doing? What are you wearing? How are you going? Which is a good thing, because they actually, when they do speak, they make sense. You know, they speak with passion about the things that they care about and want to promote. The other two, they just copy all the time. You know, it's really...
And what they, sorry for butting in, but what they also do is they go out there, but you never know what they're there for. They're just there for a photo op.
And that's the difference, Nelly. You don't know what they're there for. One thing with Meghan and Harry, you can always get value for money for your ticket, right? So this week we had the DealBook Summit that we've already spoken about. We had Harry on the Rewired panel, which was amazing as well. What was it? Was it Pirates with Press Passes? I loved it. I don't think that's ever gonna die down. But the thing is that you know why they're there, and they never let you down. You know, and the thing that is a bit of a pet peeve of mine is when I see people saying, oh, well, we don't even know what she's talking about. There she goes again with the word salad. Oh, Harry and his word salad. And I think you must hate the people that you claim to support, because how you can listen to those two and come away with any kind of understanding.
I can't understand what Kate's saying.
Nobody,
there's a reason she's called Bubbles.
Right, nobody knows what she doesn't even know what she's saying half the time, and there's no follow-up, there's no follow-through. It's all about it. It's very traditional in the way that family has worked over the years. You literally ride somebody else's back for the glory, and that's it.
Yeah,
that's it.
You've summed it up perfectly. That's exactly them in a nutshell. And so I'm just I'm waiting for the results of the appeal. I'm very confident that she'll win the appeal. The paper will lose their appeal, and then we can all move on. They lost. Take the L and move on, but they know deep in their hearts of hearts, the Rota, the papers, they need Meghan and Harry, and they'll do whatever they can to get them on the front page. If you have an article about the other two, they'll mention Meghan and Harry. Why? Meghan and Harry in the US, this lot is here. What's going on? Do you know what I mean? So I'm just, I don't even take it on board anymore now. It's just like, okay.
Yeah. Can I also just say that there's obviously there are a number of royal-based podcasts and web shows that have only sort of taken up now since 2016. I would say 2016, 2017, when Meghan roughly came on the scene. This was not a thing before. Royal podcasts by royal commentators or royal journalists. That was never a thing until Meghan came onto the scene.
Absolutely not.
And then when she went on maternity leave, they all suddenly vanished.
Do you remember?
Wasn't it? And as soon as she popped her head out again, they're back up again. They just,
Right, let's see if we can go back to before Meghan. Right. Before Meghan, so in the years from when Diana passed away up until Meghan joined the family, we can probably count on one hand with fingers to spare how many times anyone ever really paid attention to that family. The only times I can think of off the top of my head was when Wills got married, because everyone was a bit hopeful then. Okay, fair enough, he's married to this woman who no one seems to know what she does. But it's when Wills got married and when they had baby George. Apart from that, how often did anybody pay such attention to the royal family? I don't remember them having this much coverage.
No.
Maybe if one of them messed up, like when
I was going to say they had with regards to because the Andrew thing. That's gone back some ways. That sort of
2010. So when he was messing up and what's her name? What's his wife's name?
Sophie.
Sarah.
Sarah.
Who can remember her? But anyhow, when she was doing all her madness and badness and borrowing money here, there, and everywhere, But the thing is, they were a source of scandal and derision. Now, all of a sudden, since Meghan, and let's call it for what it is, the black in her eyes, Meghan's in the eyes of the royal family and the British media, Meghan is blacker than me, right?
Yeah,
she's blacker than me, and she's more ghetto than me. As far as that's how they see her. The fact that she's this biracial, accomplished American doesn't matter.
Yeah, right? multi-millionaire. Yeah,
right. They want to paint her as the stereotypical narrative they like to have of us. She could as well be living in Peckham for all they care. Nothing against Peckham, can I just say that now?
Yeah.
But that's how they want to portray her. And now, literally I can't remember the last time I read anywhere, went onto any site and not seen a royal story. And I think 9 times out of 10, that royal story has either been about Meghan or it's got her name in the headline when it's got nothing to do with her. And let's not forget this faux outrage that they're now creating around her being a liar and a perjurer. Okay. Just remember, Ghislaine Maxwell's pre-trial has started now in the States.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
She's going to trial at the end of the month, isn't she?
That's right.
Trial,
so pre-trial has started, and it's all going to come tumbling out. So, of course, yet again, distraction. Let's all pile it on Meghan. Let's all talk about Meghan. Let's make Meghan out to be this because we have to protect Andrew. Now, at the end of the day, I don't know what happened. I've only got my opinion, okay, where Andrew is concerned. But I do find it quite interesting that for someone who, proclaims their innocence as strongly as he's trying to proclaim his, he is wriggling, he's wriggling more than a blinking goldfish at the circus. The man is twisting himself up in all sorts of things. But you're innocent. You said you're innocent.
Yeah, innocent people don't sweat.
Yeah.
Sweating by now.
So, anywho, I think we've had enough of that. I don't want to be miserable now. I think we should move on to something else, a bit more entertaining. So, let's talk about the Sussexes' trip to the Intrepid Museum's 2021 Salute to Freedom Gala. So, on Wednesday evening, let's talk about Harry first, because that is, it was quite important. So, on Wednesday evening, the 10th of November, the Sussexes attended the Intrepid Museum's 2021 Salute to Freedom Gala. And as I said earlier, it is where Harry presented the inaugural Intrepid Valor Awards to 5 service members, veterans, and military families living with the invisible wounds of war. It was an amazing gala for Harry and Meghan to attend, especially Harry, because he's a military man. So he completely understood what was going on. I mean, I'm not saying Meghan didn't, but it's at the core of the man. He is a military man. So a fabulous event to attend, and handing out those awards, especially the inaugural one, perfect. The icing on the cake for me. So well done to all the vets, and whether you're US, British, wherever you are around the world. We have Remembrance Sunday tomorrow on Sunday. And we had our Remembrance 2 minutes on Thursday, where everyone stopped for 2 minutes and remembered the fallen and the wounded in relation to all wars at all times. So I'm glad that happened. Let's move on to the dress. Because that dress was bloody gorgeous. Honest to God, I love that dress. That dress was bloody gorgeous.
But before we move on to the dress, I've got to say, Harry bought it on Wednesday night.
Oh, God, yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
Armani.
Oh, my God, that man. Oh. That man. Talk about a glow up. I mean, he was all... I always thought Harry was lovely.
Yeah.
But since he's moved to the States, that's a whole other level we didn't know existed.
Exactly.
Oh my! Oh. And like you say, Nelly, Armani,
suits him, doesn't it? It suits him well.
Oh my God! No, Harry looked the part. And you know what I love about Harry? He is the eternal little boy who's just so pleased with what he's got.
Yeah, exactly.
He's just so pleased.
Yeah.
And no one's going to dampen that joy for him. Nobody.
Nobody.
No.
I mean, obviously it was a military event, but I love the fact that he wore his medals there because, he earned those medals.
Every single one
of them.
And remember, people, that they're not toy medals; they're real ones.
Exactly.
He served in 2 tours out in Afghanistan. So please, they're not toys. They were earned the hard way, like all the other members of his combat group or in the army. They earned them the hard way.
When you see, especially during military ceremonies, and you see other members of that family with their chocolate medals, it really made
that's what was said.
That's what they are. They're chocolate medals.
I mean, toys.
I mean, to be honest, I think the least problematic person of that family is Edward. He kind of keeps himself to himself. You can tell. And we know Edward don't want no shine on him, right?
No, he doesn't, does he?
Exactly. Edward just wants to stay in the shadows. Please don't push me out there because it's just going to make him too exposed. But if you think about someone like poor Edward, right, who was he even in the Marines? Was it a week, 2 weeks?
I don't think he
did training, and I was like,
he did, and it was like
basic training, could he?
Right, and it was like, okay, this isn't for me, which is fair enough. We all do something. We think, you know what, that's not really for me. I've changed my mind. Fair enough. Yes. But when you see him decorated, what else can you do but laugh? It's just erodes every ounce of credibility that they may have had. It erodes it. It's like the other one, the sister, Maggie Thatcher lookalike. When she what was it? They wanted to give her one of Harry's patronages.
Yeah, one of his military honours. Yeah. What
an insult! The woman has never served in her life. What understanding does she have? Where's her connection?
She married a naval man.
Yeah,
who again was the hell.
She's already a vice admiral of, not a vice admiral, but some sort of thing with the Navy because of that connection. I could almost understand that just because she's married to a Navy man, but she should not be getting any of Harry's his military patronages. That's just a slap in the face.
Oh yeah, but they didn't. That family backed themselves into a corner. They can't get out of it. Because they know they're fucked up. They know they're fucked up. They should have just left him with the things and said, all right, boy, come back when you want to. You've got these. Keep an eye on them, sort of thing. But they backed themselves into a corner. What can they do now?
And not only that,
go on.
I was going to say, not only that, Harry has proven that he could have kept those honours and still did the service whilst he's in the US. He's proven
exactly.
Exactly. Because service is universal.
There we go.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. I know that line. Service is universal.
Yeah. So anyway, sorry. I want to go back to that dress.
The dress.
Because that dress was banging.
Yeah.
Can we all agree that red is Meghan's colour?
Oh, yeah.
Let me tell you, red is Meghan's colour. But you know what I love about the dress? The colour, wicked, no doubt. But I love the whole cup style. Mm-hmm. When I say that was the most non-royal dress ever. Mm. It wasn't, she didn't need no bling, right? She didn't need no whole, she didn't even need, wings to make her.
Stop it.
The dress, it's true, the dress stood up on its own. Meghan wore the hell out of that dress. She really did. Yes. She looked wicked. She looks nice. She looks like a nice, normal-sized woman.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, and the hair.
The whole thing. The hair, the dress, the shoes. Oh my!
But you see how Carolina Herrera, the designer, she could not be more proud. She could
That
not be more
dress.
proud. It was all on her Instagram, you know, the designer of the shoes as well. That's a true brand ambassador. Let me tell you, you can't pay for that kind of influence and impact.
Yeah. And then you're walking in there with Harry in his finery. Oh my days.
Yeah,
they blew it out of the park. They just wiped the floor of everybody in that family.
They did.
Yeah,
and
it was good.
I liked when they came in and they were saying hello to everyone. They were saying hello to the award winners in particular. And Meghan said something to one of the guys, and he said, "Oh, because he's a fellow Northwestern alumni," and so she mentioned that to him, and he said, "Oh my gosh, you know that?" And she said, "I know something about all of you." Right. Exactly. And I thought, that's a woman who is prepared.
Who does her homework.
She does her home. She doesn't carry empty files around for props. You know, she does her homework. She does her homework.
Dear. Yeah. So, but yeah, the whole event was fantastic. I know the event was important for the vets and the awards and all that sort of stuff. And I totally and utterly appreciate it. And I'm so glad that they went, and I'm so glad that they paid honor to the people who served and their families, and that's wonderful. But
it was beautiful.
But I can't help myself with that dress. Oh.
Look, no, I don't think. Look, that dress will be talked about for many, many years to come. And you know, and the thing is, is that you look at it, and every time you look at it, you can appreciate it a bit more. It's a bit like, unlike Christmas decorations, you know, they're lovely at Christmas, and afterwards they need to go in their box, so you don't want them up all year round, right? Yeah. You don't want them up, dazzling and sparkling everywhere, overshadowing everything. No, you just want to have a nice, quiet appreciation for the dress, unlike the other one.
Yes.
You know, she just looks stunning. And I'll tell you, that poor woman, if she thinks she's only going to have 2 kids, I hope she's taking precautions, because Harry ain't just having 2, right? I'm telling you now, they best have sorted themselves out, because otherwise they're going to end up with a whole heap of children.
Oh my God. And you know what? They deserve it if they do decide to have more than that, because they've got a happy family. You know?
They really
we haven't seen one picture of baby Lily. Good. We haven't seen a picture of Archie. Only the christening ones. Good. Yeah. They're going to have a really good private family life. You know, like normal people do.
Like normal people. No one's seen my daughter.
Yeah.
That's how it should be.
Yeah.
You know.
This is a privacy that they were talking about, you know, and of course, people are interpreting, you know, have their own interpretations of privacy. But the fact is, they choose when and where they want to show their kids. Now, obviously, we've not seen a picture of Lily. If they were still here in the royal family, we probably would have had about 5 or 6 pictures of her. No, okay, or hell, less, because you know that's just how they are. That's how it was with Archie, and I'm glad that you know they've taken this route in protecting their children, because they know that their kids are, you know, their kids are up for ransom. You know that you know, I'm happy that they've carved themselves out a life in which they are able to maintain a level of privacy and calm, which they would never have had they stayed in the UK. Most certainly, had they, you know, they would have, had they just rolled over and just let the harassment continue. I don't think we would have had a Lily.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, obviously, you know, Meghan suffered the miscarriage last summer.
Yeah.
Which was heartbreaking to read at the time when she did her op-ed about it. But also, I love the fact that their children are non-negotiable. You can shout from the rooftops, you can ask for titles, you can ask for money paid back for houses that didn't belong to them. You can do what the hell they like. They are not negotiating their children. I saw on some news site today that one of the other little ones is again, picture big and broad there for all to see. Some other narrative they're now trying to create around her. And Harry and Meghan aren't having it. They're not playing that game. Harry was very clear. I will not be bullied, right, by the very people who killed my mother. He made it really clear. And that's what I love about Harry and Meghan's words. You can always go back to their own words. You don't need to guess what it is they said or what they meant. They tell you clear and simple.
Yeah,
clear and simple. So I know I only have to look at Harry and Meghan to know that little girl is absolutely beautiful, loved and cared for. I don't need to know more than that. That's enough for me.
Yeah,
that's enough for me.
Yeah, which is perfect. So can we move on to our final topic? So I think we're going to run out of time soon, which is the stress and the toll that this smear campaign is having on everyone, not just Meghan and Harry, but everyone. So Gayle, would you like to lead on this one for us? Because
I would.
Yeah, go on.
And the reason why is because, as you know, some of us are really active on Twitter and other platforms in support of Harry and Meghan and the work that they do. And with that, we see it every time a celebrity or an organization tweet or pledge their support for Harry and Meghan. We see they are absolutely deluged with negativity. The environment is so toxic sometimes. And those of us who are here, literally, it feels like we're on the front line. Those of us who are here defending and supporting and have taken it upon ourselves to be those kind of like spokespeople, if you like, to defend them against this toxicity. It takes a toll on our mental health. I know it certainly takes a toll on mine. And over the last few days, I've had lots of DMs from people saying exactly this. They can't cope. They're finding it really stressful. They're finding they're spending a lot of time in tears. Their heart's breaking, etc., etc. So what I wanted to do was just talk amongst ourselves as to how do we cope with it? What are we doing so that we can encourage our listeners to either do the same if they're not already doing something, or to at least find things that can help to offset the balance. And one of the things for me is people often say to me all the time, Gayle, I don't even know why you bother with Meghan. Meghan's all right, Meghan's there in her castle doing her thing. And the reason why I bother, as much as I love and support Harry and Meghan, I have a 19-year-old daughter who's just starting to make her way in the world. Okay. And as a Black girl and me going into a Black young woman, I want to know that she is in more positive spaces and places than negative ones. So anything that I can do to redress that balance and to challenge the narrative that's going to help create more fair and just environments for our young people, then I'm going to do that. But it does take a toll on my mental health as well. And one of the things that I do every single day, every day without fail, is I make sure I end my day by having a really calm and relaxing meditative bath. And it's gone past cleansing for the skin and is now about cleansing my soul. Because when I'm in that bath and I've lit my candles, I've got my crystals around me, and I have different oils depending on how I'm feeling that day, use different essential oils. When I'm in that bath, that's about clearing away all the stuff and really, rejuvenating myself so that I'm ready for the next day. I find that really helpful. But the other thing that's really helpful as well is forming pockets of people, either within the squad or offline, but people who genuinely get you and understand that they're in that fight with you for justice and fairness, for equality. We talk about George Floyd and the whole EDI space now. How can you talk about that stuff and be so active in that space, but yet still downgrade Meghan at the same time? To me, that doesn't make sense. And I know lots of people who do that. So for me, it's about surrounding myself with the people who really get it, who don't just want to pay lip service to EDI, but want to challenge the norms and narratives across the board, because they will also fill you up. but they will also provide that nurturing space when you feel it's getting too much. And you can do that in the squad. There's several people, Nelly being one of them. I know we haven't caught up for a while, Nelly, because of time. But, but there are several people in the squad that I talk to on a regular basis offline. And we pump each other up again. It's like, right, okay, now we're good to go again.
I mean, I'm the opposite, really, because I've come off Twitter for a while because I found that it was just draining my soul. And you need to be strong to counteract the narrative that's out there. And what I found for me being more helpful is actually in my actual real life is people who come up with these negative stories about Meghan. And I'll go, really? So tell me why this would happen. Why would she do that? Why would she open herself up to this on purpose? Remember, you say that say, for example, she's a social climber. She's really a social climber. Okay. And she was an actress for 7 years, right? And they were and probably longer. Yeah. On a show that was seen around the world. And they go, yeah. So she must have earned a decent amount of money, don't you think? Yeah. And I'll sort of say to them, is it in the thousands, hundreds of thousands, or even the millions? When you drop facts towards them, don't argue, just drop the facts and you just watch it ruminate. And then they don't have a leg to stand on. And I find for me, that's been more effective talking to these negativity people around me, doing it that way than being in the onslaught of Twitter. I think I can be more effective off Twitter with other people. And I think for me, that's working. And I just drop facts, because when you drop facts aren't lies. Facts are the truth. I can back up what I'm saying,
Absolutely.
That's what I do.
You're right.
That's what I do. Right. That's why sometimes I'm on Twitter. Yeah, I'll be on Twitter, but I'm not on there all the time because I don't have the time to do it because I've got other things to do. But also, it will suck the soul out of you if you stay on there all the time, because we're in our bubble. Yes, we're fighting the good fight, but you are losing your soul at the same time. You can be more effective out of that bubble and talking to individual people and changing one mind at a time. Because when you change one mind, they will go off and change somebody else. They'll do the same thing to somebody else.
Absolutely.
And it will have a ripple effect. So that's what I do offline, not online. So
beautiful. Yeah. What about you, Nelly?
Well, as you know, I sort of live on Twitter. However, because I live on Twitter, I have taken to muting a number of accounts that I find are not healthy. Obviously, standard, I block Royal Reporters and GB News and all of the negative, and obviously all of the tabloids. So that's me. And it's obviously I talk to you guys to give you and my husband, and obviously play with my little girl to give me some balance, because it's when you're on social media, you do get sucked in, and it does feel soul destroying. I mean, for those who follow me on Twitter, that I did a thread about how the smear campaign has taken its toll on me mentally, and also how it's affects, just also seeing people, I've alluded to before, people in my life who've gotten sucked into it and are believing everything, and obviously trying to educate them and tell them exactly what the hell is going on. It's, very similar to Sandra in trying to sort of change the hearts and minds of people, in your life, in real life, and try to say, okay, why do you think, try to critically engage people, and then they come to their own conclusions. And if they don't, then fuck them. I just will spend less time with you, because, for me right now, if you have an opinion on Meghan Markle and it's based on tabloid nonsense, your opinion is based on what the British media, which we know to be a corrupt yet very influential force in British life, and can push all sorts of things, including government policy, as seen in Brexit, then I'm not going to want to spend much time with you and engage with you, because that, to me, that means you're a sheep and you believe anything what people will tell you, instead of interrogating your mind. So I've blocked people. I've not engaged people who have negative views with Meghan, and are not willing to critique why they have such views. That's how I'm trying to sort of maintain my sanity as much as possible. But yeah, that's me. Oh yes, of course, I normally drink a bit of port at the end of the day. That helps.
Ooh, can't beat a nice bit of port. I don't know. I don't know if it's coming through for you, Sandra, but Nelly was a bit echoey on my side.
Yeah, she is. Yeah, on my side as well.
Sorry about that.
Yeah. One of the other things that, around this same topic, around especially Twitter, because Twitter is like the wild, wild west of social media to me. It really is. It's like literally anything goes. And I know that there are people actively working to try and clean it up and address that balance at the moment. So, all hail to them, and, they're doing a fabulous job. But what I will say as well is, remember, you've got a mute button and you've got a block button. And you don't have to engage with everything. So exactly. I'm very, very clear about what my outcome is when I use Twitter under my Breakthrough Diva handle. I have other accounts on Twitter, but my Breakthrough Diva account is the account that I use mainly for my Meghan, my Sussex support. And I'm very clear about what my outcomes are. And my outcome for that account is to support Harry and Meghan, and to amplify all the good deeds, and and to highlight the injustices. That's what that account is for. So I don't tend to engage with anything that doesn't help me to do that. And obviously throw in a bit of fun here and there as well. But anything that's going to drag me down a rabbit hole, I don't tend to engage with. So when we've got all those mad people on Twitter with their conspiracy theories around Harry and Meghan, you will very rarely see me in those threads, because I'm not saying that you have to like them, because we all take an instant dislike to someone for whatever reason. We don't even have to justify it. We just think, nah, you know what? As my mom would say, no, my spirit don't take that one.
Yes.
Yeah. And that's fine. But as you said, Sandra, if it's not based on facts, if it's based on this narrative, like Nelly was saying, that's just being spouted by the tabloid media that people are just talking about, but there's no basis. I can remember back in the early days, a couple of years ago, having a discussion with one of my family members, to literally toe-to-toe, heated, intense discussion, because Meghan wore black nail varnish. And I'm like, who cares? So what if she wore black nail varnish? So what if she closed her own car door? Well, she knew what she was getting into when she came into the family. She's just, to me, they are just excuses to hate on another person. That doesn't, whether she wore black nail varnish or no nail varnish, stockings or no stockings, or closed her own car door, that does not make her a hateful person. It doesn't make her a mad or sad person. It just makes her a person.
But I think also with that as well, when you trace it back and you break through all their arguments or whatever it is, it comes back to jealousy. She has what they want, and how dare she as a black woman get what I can't have? That's what it is. That's what it's always been. It's always been that. And I engage more on YouTube with the YouTube channel. That's where I really focus my time. And like you said, any foolishness on there, it's block, report, and delete. I do not have time for your nonsense. I will go through and I will read it and I will delete it, because it is a positive space for Meghan and Harry supporters. If you hate, listen, right. I don't understand why, if you hate somebody, you're going to go on their site. Because I know for a fact, my life is too short for me to go on somebody's site I hate. If I hate
Tell
you,
me about it.
I'm not going nowhere near you. I don't like you.
I don't like you. Is that? Do you know?
I waste my time.
No word of a lie. Yesterday, one of the haters on Twitter actually said, I was watching, I didn't engage it, but I was watching her have this argument with another tweeter, obviously a squaddy. And the hater was saying, yeah, but I watched the entire court case on YouTube and I just spit out my coffee because I just thought, imagine hating somebody so much that you will spend your entire day watching a court case about someone you hate. Really,
exactly.
Got nothing to do.
Yeah,
but it's not that they hate. It's not. But the thing is, they don't hate. It's something they would love. It's a person they would love to be. They would love to have that life, and they can't have it.
They can't.
By God, if I can't have it, you're not going to have it. It's that
especially not you as a black woman. You're
exactly. It's that crab pot mentality.
Yeah.
You're not going to get out. I'm going to claw you back in. And it's that mentality which is pushed through the papers, because remember, the papers in the UK are owned by media barons who don't even live in the UK. But pushing this narrative because they feel that she is not worthy. Well, you don't live here, so fuck off.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. And the two arguments that come up all the time are, oh, but the British people welcomed her, which we now know the British people may have done. Well, the British people may have done. But I can tell you now, the media and that family certainly didn't. And they made it their business that they were going to indoctrinate the British public against her.
Yeah.
Okay, and that's what they've done.
But they haven't really.
Also,
I keep going back to this fact. They haven't really. Because I go back to I work with a lot of young people, and they can see what's going on. They all know what's going on. But because our media is owned by white old men, and the editors are white old men or white old women, that's what's being pushed because they have control of the media. But when you look at the younger people, and I'm not even talking about maybe 60 below. We can all see what's going on, but we don't have the power or the voice to put out, no, we don't feel like that, actually. What you're doing is wrong. Because we haven't got that power to confront it. But if you go onto YouTube or we go onto social media, you'll see different. The only problem is we see the negativity because we're in there fighting the fight. But not everyone feels that way. And I'm certainly not everyone in England or Britain feels that way. It's just the media class that does that. So.
Exactly. It's the media that does it. And also, as well, the other thing you have to remember is that when people say it's not about race, if you're a black person and you are getting these messages day in, day out about somebody who, regardless of whether you like her or not, she is seen as a biracial black woman. If you go with the American principle of one drop, she's a black woman, right? She's a black woman, and we are constantly being told that she's a liar, that she's a narcissist, that she's a bully, that she's a this, she's whipped Harry, she's done this, if you're constantly getting those messages on social media and you are a black person, especially a young black person that's coming up, and you know that Meghan is a woman of power and privilege and she's still getting all this abuse, it can diminish you to the point, especially if you don't have a strong circle around you, if you haven't got that strong allyship or mentorship, it can have a negative effect. So it's up to each of us. It's up to each of us that are the one, regardless of how we're doing it, whether we're doing it online or offline, it's up to each of us to present a very supportive and nurturing environment for our younger people that are coming up. They need to see that there are challenges to that narrative. They need to see that, because this is playing out bigger than anything. I've never, ever, ever seen a smear campaign like this. Never. Not even against the Yorkshire Ripper. Right, that man killed. But
My
he
God.
did. He killed all those women. Never saw that. You know, you've got women who were throwing themselves right into him in Broadmoor, wanting to be his next wife.
Yeah.
Right. You've got those
Jeez.
two boys who killed that little boy, Jamie Bulger. Now out there living normal amongst society. You know, you've got people who've committed some real heinous crimes and nothing. Piers Morgan hacked that dead girl's phone. He hacked her phone. He's still being lauded in the media as some kind of personality.
Hero, yeah.
How is it? Seriously, what kind of society are we living in when a woman who fell in love with a man who also fell in love with her, decided to make their life together, found themselves in an institution that wasn't supportive, decided to leave, and both their families talk shit about them, but yet still they're the bad guys? How is that?
And also not taking a penny from those said families. They're doing their own thing. They're doing their own thing.
Living their life. It's not even like, oh, well, you know what? She's still living in my garden, you know. No, she's not living in your garden. They live how many thousands of miles away?
Yeah. It's ridiculous. It's truly ridiculous. Anyway, with that, we've gone on well over an hour. So I think we should end it for today.
Yes.
There was a lot to talk about.
There was. It went on a lot longer than I thought it was going to be. Anyway, so I
want to say is to anyone that's on social media that's in here fighting the fight, just remember, create those circles of trust and support to help you get through it.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Okay, so that's it for this episode. Thank you so much for listening. And thank you, Gayle and Nelly, for joining me. I hope you've enjoyed it as much as I have.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Don't forget to send in questions and or topics that you'd like to have discussed on future episodes. If you'd like to be a guest panelist on the podcast, please reach out to me at hello@aduchesslikeus.com or on email, or DM me at DuchessUs on Twitter. If you like what you've heard today, please hit the like button and subscribe to the podcast. Also, please share this episode with anyone else you think will be interested in listening to it. If you have time, I'd be grateful if you could leave me a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts, as it helps more people see the podcast. I really hope that you've enjoyed this episode and that you'll come back for more. So I'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.